Okay, what else can we say about Conker's Bad Fur Day? Well, we touched upon this topic of the mouth and eating, so on, ingesting something through the mouth, ejecting it through the anus as excretion, and the cycle that that represents, and how that cycle seems to be a part of this game. It's within this game in some way or another. And I was thinking, well, we have other cycles in this game that we can look at, maybe contrast with this cycle. One of the most basic ones is day and night, because we've got day and night in this game. They are two of the main elements in this game. You begin the game at day, excuse me, and day becomes night, and then you're in night. And so you've transitioned from one state to the other, and it is in some way a seamless transition, and it leads you from one place directly. So this transition, I think, also has a hint of a moral dilemma to it. Because it seems as if nighttime in this game is a much more desperate time than daytime. Now, so daytime is shown to be colourful and fun. It isn't fun. A lot of people die in the daytime, but the nighttime is shown to be sort of dark, dreary, and a lot more scary in some senses than the daytime. There's war. There are sort of a more explicit sense of horror and of terror and of something bad. So I think that nighttime is more explicitly a bad place than the daytime. Again, in practice, I think the daytime section of this game is way scarier, in my opinion, because the daytime section is really filled to the brim with a lot of abuse and a lot of kind of the cruelty in the daytime section, I think, is a lot more extreme in some way, but it's covered in this daytime gloop of colors and fun, which makes it sort of seem fun in a certain way. So in any case, I feel like the game is navigating through these two terrains as well, of saying daytime is good, nighttime is bad. I think that's sort of one of the, it's let's say it is something that I think can be picked up from this game. The game seems to be transmitting this idea to you of, you've just lived through a daytime moment, now let's live through a nighttime moment, and it's going to be very different. It's going to be very different gameplay also. It's going to suddenly become much more of a shooter kind of game, much more of a type of game that it wasn't before. It's going to become almost completely less of a platformer, much less of an adventurer than it used to be before. Yeah.
Okay, let's continue talking about Conker now, but in an audio format. So, one thing we could say about the whole mouth dynamic is that mouths in this game are important, I think, in certain instances. So, for instance, in the cogs, as I'd mentioned, I think, it seems as if Carl, the cog, only likes oral sex. He only likes receiving oral sex. That's the kind of sex he wants to receive. He does not want to give anal sex. He wants to receive. He doesn't want to receive anal sex, but he also doesn't want to give it. He only wants to get oral sex from someone else. And Quentin enjoys anal sex, enjoys receiving anal sex in this case. So there's these dualities between the two also that are then echoed, I think, in the imps, which are this world that somehow exists within Bat's Tower, but at a different level. So within Bat's Tower, so that they kind of echo, I think, some of the similar themes of Bat's Tower. You've got an imp that really wants to smoke cigars and therefore enjoy an oral pleasure, orally derived kind of enjoyment, and the imp who wants to fart and blow his farts out and therefore have some sort of an enjoyment that involves the anus and ejecting stuff through the anus, or at least enjoying the feeling or the fun or something about the act of using his anus for some fun-like activity. So again, we have these two imps that are embodying these two currents of using your mouth, using your anus, or at least using the mouth, the anus, even if it's yours or someone else's, as a sort of a use of the mouth or a use of the anus as sources of pleasure, or at least of even like identity, of this is who this imp is and this is who this other imp is, in the same way that maybe Carl and Quentin have a sort of an identity thing going on with their anus and their mouth, maybe so that it's also something about identity, I think, is also present here. Which part? Maybe it's which part of the body are you identifying with? Which part of the body do you consider to be home? Maybe which part would you return to and feel comfortable with and have no discomfort with, no problem with? It's comfortable space. It's home. It's a homely kind of space that you could return to and feel comfortable with, right? So for Quentin, it seems like there is a homey sense about anal sex that's comfortable for him, and therefore a place that you can go to. You can go there, and it's fine, right? It's a fine place to go, and you feel fine there. So then there may be in that this issue of choices. What choice are you going to make? Are you going to choose to have this kind of sex or this other kind of sex? Are you going to enjoy this pathway or this other pathway? And which pathway do you feel comfortable with? Which pathway do you feel at home with, in some sense? So that, I think, is some of the themes that are being explored in this game. And then, of course, the anus is being associated to something bad, generally. Something bad or that has to do with defecation and therefore with the creation of excess stuff that is disposed of, that is thrown away, kind of thing, and that is not wanted. So and then the mouth, on the other hand, seems to be associated with a kind of control, a control and a loving of the situation at hand as control or something, like controlling the situation, being okay with the situation and not letting it get out of hand. Not letting things get out of hand, which I think is an issue here in this game, because the Panther King doesn't want his milk to not be drunk. He wants to enjoy his milk. He wants to drink it. So he wants to put the milk in his mouth and enjoy it. And he doesn't like things not going his way and having a different kind of effect on the world than the one he wanted. There's also this issue of having effects on the world, and which effects do you want the world to have or to suffer in some way. And the professor, for instance, has been punished by the Panther King. The Panther King cut the professor's legs off, it seems. That seems to be something that the professor received from the Panther King. At least, we're not told this explicitly, but I think we could maybe imply it by what it says in the manual about the Panther King and his relationship to the weasels. And I think the Weasel King might be the professor. That's maybe more of a theory of mine, but I think that at least there may be something to that there. And that is for the Weasel King, for the professor, that is the lower part of the body. The lower part of the body, the entire lower part of the body, the legs, and I suppose, that has been chopped off basically by the Panther King. So it's almost as if the Panther King has also chopped off the anus and everything that is down below in the body. Everything that's down below has been cut off, disconnected from the body in some way. That's what the professor received from the Panther King. So it feels as if this issue of eating and then excreting is connected also to maybe an issue of repression of the lower part of the body versus repression of the top part of the body. And the top part of the body may be shown to be, so the top as in the mouth and the head and everything that's on top of the body, shown to be the control, the part that's controlling everything else, the part that's in charge of the situation, and wants to be in charge of the lower parts, right? The lower parts have to be controlled by the top parts. The top part thinks. Yeah, stuff around that topic, I suppose. I don't know. That's at least some of what maybe we are wanting to talk about here in this game. Okay, yeah, bye.